paid $9 for this?
I paid 10.
Okay, look, I'm gonna be honest, I never thought I would ever imagine myself talking about Jake or Logan Paul here on this channel ever again, because the last time I talked about them was when they did their cringy Christmas specials years ago. But you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna talk about them anyway. Also, another thing of note, in recent years I've tried my best to avoid discussing overly negative subjects because I don't like the idea of this kind of negativity being spread upon my fans and there being a hostile community because of it. I've noticed now more than ever that your content definitely replicates your fans by a huge margin, and I would like to grow a community that, while mocking at bad films or looking at weird shit online, would be very welcoming to each other and with open arms. I try my best to be somebody that people can look up to. And I think in this case scenario, because universally everybody was disappointed because of what happened, I feel like I'm in the clear to talk about it. So, a few days ago, my dad was talking to me about the fight that was happening that night between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I honestly didn't even know they were having a fight at all because it kept getting delayed so many times ever since it got announced in 2021. But no, it looked like it was actually finally happening that night. And honestly, while I was invested in the event itself, I actually didn't have any plans to watch it that night, mainly because I thought it was going to be on a pay-per-view service just like every other boxing event they've done over the years. Later that night, I got into a voice chat with my friends on Discord, and it was during that call that one of them decided to screen share the entire event for us. It turned out that instead of them using a general pay-per-view service, instead they decided to stream the entire fight over on Netflix. You know, everybody's favorite streaming wasteland that keeps canceling shit after one season? Yeah, that Netflix. Whether it was because Netflix was actually genuinely passionate about the event or they just wanted to air it so they could shell out a bunch of Netflix sponsors at it, the answer? So I decided to watch the whole event with them, and no joke, after about 5 hours later, I actually came out of it insanely disappointed. Cause while I did have a good time watching the whole event with them, I felt like I was coming out empty-handed after the final fight between Paul and Tyson. You know, what the whole fight this event was named after and hyped around? The amount of anticipation and build-up that this event was leading up to ended up leading to nowhere, and instead we were all anticipated to what looks to be a live-action remake of Rock'em Sock'em Robots. So today, my friends, instead of watching a slop channel recap the entire event haphazardly and calling the situation crazy, instead I am going to be walking you through and discussing every single thing that happened during this event. I'll be discussing my opinions about the event and whether or not it was worth a Netflix subscription, 5 hours of my time, and internet issues. Also, Netflix, I know you guys really like money, but it should be worth noting that the clips I'm going to play in this video are used under fair use. They are being used here for means of criticism and for commentary. I know you guys are very desperate right now, but thanks to fair use laws in the US, I am legally allowed to play these clips here as examples regarding my criticism. Let's dive right into the cringe. We begin with an opening montage between Jake and Mike as footage of their boxing matches flash on screen. And we also see this 3D semi-panoramic shot displaying all of the fights that are going to happen during this event. This is really the only time I ever want to talk about these montages and these 3D stat animations in passing, but whenever they need to be mentioned, I'll be sure to bring it up here. All I just want to say is that man, the text on them look bad. At certain angles it looks fine, but right at the end with Wenderson's name, it is horrible. It's just a big old mesh of white, no comprehensive characters at all. It's also during this that it should be worth mentioning that MVP, or Most Valuable Promotions, the ones that are hosting this event, it turns out that's actually Jake Paul's company that he co-founded. Yeah, Jake Paul's company is running the event of Jake Paul and another opponent. This isn't gonna backfire at all! I also just want to briefly mention the commentary we get from those at the table and those that are by the stage. They're fine. It's just sports commentary. There's nothing much other than A, Cedric the Entertainer's hat that looks like a penis, and B, and this is what I personally think, Mauro Ranallo sounds a lot like the realistic fish head from SpongeBob.
Including a welterweight championship fight.
We interrupt your laughter at other people's expense to bring you this news flash. The fake inspector has been captured. Here is his picture.
Also, Rosie Perez looks like she was kind of put off during the whole event. I'm sure she had a good time being there, but like, wow, she does not look impressed. We also get this dance sequence with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and the only thing I want to mention here is the camera kick that happens a few minutes in. Fantastic recovery, honestly. The first fight was with Whindersson Nunes and Niraj Goyat, and I will say, it was actually pretty funny that they added wants to fight Jake Paul in India as a fact point towards Goyat. Like, honestly, it doesn't add anything that we needed to know about him, but it felt pretty funny to add considering that this is Jake Paul's company running this. It should also be worth noting that Goyat has actually been in a few pieces of media that are available on Netflix, specifically RRR, which they not only mention in the fact cards about him, but they also mention what to watch on Netflix in the commentary.
Opportunity to strut your stuff on the largest streaming service here, Rosie, as we go around the world on Netflix.
And this is something I want to mention because it really aggravated me when watching this event. Almost like every half an hour during this event, you could see something sponsoring or advertising a show or film that you can watch on Netflix. I totally understand that boxing, as well as pretty much every other sport, would have advertisements and sponsors. Literally every sport's about them, but that's not what I'm complaining about. That's normal. What I'm complaining about is the fact that Netflix had humiliated themselves with the amount of shows that they put on display. Like, look what happens during the cooldown before round 3. Squid Game? Fucking Squid Game? The Squid Game guards make an appearance in the crowd. Why? You know what? I'm not gonna think about it too much. Let's move on. After round 4, we get this, thing with Jake. Not sure what this was all supposed to be about. What is he on? Douchebag-a-tonin'?
Get things started here on Netflix.
So yeah, Goyat won this round, and he proceeds to drink himself a bottle of not Prime Energy. Thank God. The next fight was with Mario Barrios and Abel Ramos, and I have to say, Barrios' ring walking joke was actually really cool. I think it's the only one with live percussion to play, actually. It's a really badass way to enter the ring, in my opinion. But besides that, the fight was kinda lackluster. It's mainly because these two are just so good at boxing, it looked more like they were playing an elaborate game of hopscotch more than anything. Soon after round 5 was over, we get our third Netflix sponsor segment, Ralph Macchio and William Zabka from Cobra Kai, and they play a trailer for the show in the middle of downtime. It should also be worth mentioning that during this time, my parents and I were having really unpleasant connection issues with Netflix. Originally, we thought it was my internet, but it turned out everybody was having issues all across America. Both on Twitter and on Blue Sky, I saw that everyone was tweeting about Netflix being down, and they either couldn't watch the show or had to watch it through a visual equivalent of mashed potatoes. It's like, guys, we're so sorry. This is our first time airing a live sport event. I know we're having issues right now, but if you could please sit through this ad for Squid Game, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Soon we cut to this clip of Jake Paul putting on his shoes.
And that's it, I guess.
After some more ring around the rosy, the fight ends in a draw. And soon we cut to an interview with Jake, with him being a little bit too confident about beating up a senior citizen.
And when I beat his ass in a couple of moments here, no one can say anything. People want to see me fail. They want to see me lose. They want to see me get knocked out. And then they're going to make excuses for Mike Tyson when he's the one that does that.
No, Jake. People aren't upset at you for beating up a nearly 60-year-old Mike Tyson. They're angry at you for your 7-year-long history of being one of the biggest nuisances in your neighborhood with Team 10, scamming your audience with 2 influencer courses and an illegal gambling website, and your excessive habit of stealing artwork for your merch that you keep spitting into your fans' eye sockets. It's honestly a miracle how he even has a spot on this platform given his past actions. And I know that shit at me for bringing up something from 7 years ago, but unlike Logan's distasteful mishaps, at least he once apologized. Kinda, I guess. I don't really give a shit about him. But you, Jake, you had not once apologized for your actions. You are a dog shit person. And even if you lose, your own fucking company's hosting this event anyway. After Jake's insufferable interview, 35 minutes of break time would pass before the fight between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. And holy shit, this fight was actually pretty awesome. No joke, this was honestly the best fight out of the entire event with the level of intensity that these two had in the ring. I'm sure they had to play another Netflix ad in the middle of a cooldown, but still, this fight was fucking awesome. It was also, to put it lightly, the most gruesome fight out of the bunch. I don't think I could show all of it here because of YouTube's sake, but Serrano's skin under her eyebrow was just gashed during this fight. It was so bloody and actually really disturbing to watch. We then cut to this interview from Mike Tyson given to a graduation-era Kanye West, where Mike says that the fight is gonna win in a vicious win. There's a really wholesome scene here between him and the interviewer, and then literally a few seconds afterwards, boom! Mike Tyson's bare ass right on the screen, Tommy Wiseau style.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass, the sun is still out.
Like, what the f***? What made them add that? That butt shot added nothing to this.
We could have done without that butt shot there.
Like, I will never forget when my friends and I first reacted to that for the first time, and holy shit, I had never seen them laugh so hard at literally anything we had ever watched during our friendship. My mom was also being reminded a lot of that one scene from Stranger Things Season 2 when Billy first gets introduced and the girls he was walking past were checking out his butt, which is also funny given the whole Netflix thing, but whatever. But yeah, no, this fight was honestly one of the most brutal out of all the fights during this event, and I honestly thought Serrano was going to win given the amount of injuries she had sustained and the amount of times Taylor kept hugging up on her. However, that's unfortunately not how boxing works, and it ended up being Taylor who won. But it turned out a lot of people thought Amanda was going to win too. Articles were coming out during this event, and they were calling this whole event controversial. And honestly, I couldn't agree with that word choice any more than I already do, even if I had my ass handed to me with a sprinkle of Netflix ads and a side dish of Prime Energy. And there was also another article that had come out during the production of this video, and that Netflix had just been hit with a $50 million lawsuit regarding all of the streaming glitches that were happening during the event. You see, the reason why Netflix was also wanting to host this event was because they were announcing that they were going to have sports available on their service. They never really had any sports events beforehand, so this was basically the first time that they had ever live streamed a sports event, and as you could tell, it failed pretty miserably. I honestly don't even know what gave them the bright idea to even do any of this in the first place. But considering that they canceled Inside Job, I think their suffering is very much worth it. So that would end up being the final fight before Jake and Mike enter the ring. And this is when I get word that they would not be entering the fight until midnight, which means that we would have to watch about half an hour of not only whatever the hell Jake is doing, but also more countless bantering from the commentators, and also Shaquille O'Neal is here.
I'm ready for Mike Tyson to whoop some ass.
Shaq, I am so sorry. So during this whole charade of not having Jake and Mike duke it out, with how much they had kept delaying and adding shit onto the fight in order to get people to stay, I was being reminded of Drew Gooden's video, Everybody Wants to Waste Your Time. That one where he was talking about how Netflix was tossing in pointless material into their documentaries or have their show reiterate what we already just saw because they were making their documentaries more second screen enough. That video has become even more relevant now thanks to this fight. In fact, this whole event was so tiring and boring, I literally had to go onto my laptop to get some work done just so I didn't lose my mind over how tiring this event was getting to me. Also, during one of Jake's clips where he was preparing to fight, Logan Paul appears on screen. Thankfully, he didn't have any Prime in his hand that he was never going to drink in the first place, and didn't have any of his moldy lunchly cheese, so we're in the clear for that. We also get some audience shots, which includes Joe Jonas? Joe Jonas from the Jonas Brothers? I wonder if Big Time Rush are gonna be here.
Maybe I'll make a visit to the Waffle House. That's my favorite Jonas Brothers song.
So finally, after nearly 4 hours, the fight between Jake and Mike finally begins to open up, and we get to see Jake's video clip for the start of the fight, which looks a lot more like one of his dog shit YouTube videos. Jake enters the ring on a car, and riding alongside him is Logan from who he saw earlier. He begins to spray Jake with his body spray that Jake's actually been selling at Walmart for a while, which, I'm not even kidding, is named W. Behind the back of those two sufferless bastards is honestly one of the worst things that he could have had when he entered the ring. A white pigeon that he tried to give to Mike while they were training. And this is why I desperately wanted Mike to win. Ever since 2021, Jake has done a lot of weird shit in order to tease Mike during this. He first tried to recreate one of Mike Tyson's famous photo shoots with him standing shirtless while he's next to a white tiger. However, the tiger that shows up in Jake's photo is actually CGI'd in. He couldn't even get a real tiger. pathetic. He also brought up Mike Tyson's dead daughter a lot during interviews, a subject that obviously hurts Mike to his core and would have Mike stopping interviews whenever it's brought up. And the reason for the pigeon was because when Mike was growing up, he did have a pet pigeon. However, a bully had taken the pigeon from him, and when Mike called it out, they had slaughtered it right in front of him, leading to his first ever fight that started the snowball to him becoming a professional boxer in the first place. It's also why you see pigeons as a symbol for Mike all the time in media, including that one cartoon he starred in. But yeah, all of this is the reason why I wanted Mike to win. Not because I just wanted a professional boxer to beat Jake Paul's ass, but it's also because of all the insufferable shit that he had done over the years. So finally, after 4 f***ing hours of waiting, and after 20 Netflix sponsors and multiple Netflix servers crashing and burning as we speak, the ultimate fight of the night finally begins. What the f*** is this? Look, I know that Mike has gotten a lot older in recent years, but watching these two fight in the ring, it's almost like I'm watching a game of two dudes holding in the largest shitlogs ever possible. This was the fight that everyone, who couldn't get a free trial because Netflix stopped giving them, was waiting for? Oh, and to rub it in with one more trailer during a timeout. Absolutely wonderful. Like, a part of me felt like this was expected, but could you blame us? They kept hyping this damn event up with all the sponsors and advertisements that they were doing and all the shit that they were doing in the middle of the event. It's in the name and on the ring, for f***'s sake. Also, of note, the Netflix servers were getting so bad, my parents had to move from watching the event on their 70-inch smart screen TV just for them to get a clearer picture on my friend's Discord screen share on their PC. It was almost comical how bad the servers were getting. A fucking video now would get a better picture than this. Oh, and to add one last layer to the you cake with a bit of each shit sprinkles, the event that was managed by Jake Paul's company had given the win, unsurprisingly, to Jake Paul. What a fucking waste. We literally waited 3 years and watched a man go out of a near 20-year retirement for this lousy turd of an event just for Netflix to plug their crap content in because they don't really have much on their wasteland of a streaming service? Absolutely horrible. This is the worst thing to ever happen to boxing. Okay, the second worst thing to ever happen to boxing. After that event ended, my dad, who, by the way, was losing 2 hours of sleep for his 12-hour job shift, had finally went to bed. Both of my parents were agreeing that not only was this fight horrible, but it feels like we are chipping away the legacy of an iconic boxer. Mike Tyson had been given the name Iron Mike for a reason. He was one of the most insane fighters of his era. When you were in the ring with him, you were almost 90% sure you were at a fucking loss. And to see Mr. It's Everyday Bro Team 10 and Jake Paul strip away this poor man's legacy just for shit, giggles, and a little bit more W body spray on himself is so pathetic to watch. I feel bad for Mike on so many levels. And yes, that even regards the beat costume he wore. I could have done so much with those 5 hours that I used up. I could have spent more time with my girlfriend, work on a different video, play a game I enjoy, watch 300 stolen TikTok clips. But no, it was spent on one of the most controversial boxing events in recent history. And finally, I'm done talking about it, and I don't ever want to talk about the Paul brothers ever again. But I want to hear what you think. What are your thoughts on the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson boxing event? Tell me in the comments. And if you have any other suggestions for what you want me to talk about next, and if you have any fan that you want to submit to me, you can submit them all via Blue Sky, Discord, and in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell so that way you'll be notified whenever I upload a video. And if some of you want to support me even further, then you can go check out my merch store and my Ko-fi page, which will both be in the description below. Anyway, with all that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be legendary.